This program is brought to you by thepodcastfactory.com.
How would you like to get more customers, make more profits, and have bigger breakthroughs? Get Doberman Dan's profit-boosting breakthroughs. Normally, this would cost you $98 per month, but right now, for listening to this show, he's giving you a free copy of his Doberman Dan letter. All you have to do is go to dobermandan.com and sign up to get your free copy now.
Prepare yourself for the uncensored, nothing held back, no BS reality of how business and life really work. Doberman Dan is off the chain.
Jonathan, I'm excited today, and a big thanks to you because you're the one who set up our special guest coming on here. Welcome, a big Doberman Dan Canine Crew welcome to Chad Mureta. Welcome, Chad. Appreciate you being on today.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it. Really glad to be here.
Chad, a.k.a. the Millionaire Maker, which we're going to hear about in a few minutes. So, Chad, give us the Reader's Digest story on who you are, and then I got to tell
who I am
for you.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's tough to sum up exactly who I am with a few sentences, but I'll give it a shot. So I started a company called App Empire back in 2012 after I went through, a really traumatizing car accident, which ended up being the best possible thing that ever happened to me. But I was in real estate before, always looking to, try to find a way to make money, trying to find a way to live a freedom lifestyle and, just working my butt off, watching people around me just miserable at life and knowing that there has to be a different way. And I thought back then in 2006, 2007, it was opening up a real estate company. And I thought that was my ticket to my freedom, which ended up being, quite possibly the worst time anyone could set up a company in real estate. And so, yeah, I basically, found my journey from watching my real estate company start to fail, watching myself start to fall apart from my car accident, and really grasping at straws and having a moment in my hospital room where a friend of mine came into the hospital and said, look, here's your only option. Here's an article on apps, and you're going to be in the hospital for months. You can't really do much. So here's your ticket out. And it ended up being, really hope for me that I was able to put my life back together and start investing into this brand new world of mobile apps, which I ended up building an empire out of and built up a couple companies, sold them off, and was able to travel around the world and, live the good old life. And then 2012, I wrote a book called App Empire because I was very motivated at that time to have people to travel along with me. And I finally understood that, okay, this isn't just a cliche thing that everyone hopes to do. Like, it's actually a possible thing. And so my whole mission has been around giving people freedom and allowing them to really play to their full potential in a fun space, which I'm focusing on, which is apps.
Your book, App Empire, by the way, I know it's been translated at least into Portuguese. Are there other languages too?
Yeah, 9 different countries. So 9 different languages it's actually translated into. Yeah, it's been great. It's been amazing to see that. Yeah.
So you've hit on something that has worldwide appeal here.
Yeah.
I'm super curious about it too, because I love the idea, the business model of like no hard cost deliverables. You're not delivering a box to somebody.
Wait a second, Dan. Let's not bullshit here. Do you know what an app is?
I do. I upgraded my flip phone fairly recently, my 1990s flip phone to an iPhone. Nice. And I have these apps on here. And so, yeah, I've actually moved finally in the 21st century.
Well, welcome.
Fought it for a while.
So, Chad, tell me about, I'm curious, when you were in the hospital, did your income just stop at that point, and that's why you were looking for other stuff to do?
Yeah, I was basically at the stage where, I was I owned a real estate company. I had like 18 agents around me, but it was an interesting, position because I thought that was the way to make money and to live this freedom lifestyle. And really what was happening was I was working much harder and I was the face. And so when I was in the hospital, my income really was non-existent because I had a bunch of properties that were just there. And everybody wanted to list with me or sell with me because it was my company and I was out of commission. And so, I thought I was going to have this massive passive, franchise company and I could just, go through anything. But when I sat there in my hospital bed, realizing that I didn't have $100,000, so I could have this groundbreaking surgery to maybe save my arm. But also I was like, shit, I'm really off on this whole program here. I thought I was doing the right thing, but this is definitely not the model that's going to work for me. And so it was, it was definitely a sense of, desperation and also clarity into, okay, what would be a better model and how did I get myself in this position, but I really did feel like I had nothing and I had to find a way to really reinvent myself and just a new path of learning a new way of doing things.
Man, that's a scary and high pressure situation to be in, to reinvent yourself, all of a sudden injured seriously and no income.
Yes.
How did that feel?
Yeah, it was bad. It was, I had a lot of, I was on lots of different pain medication and I just had no certainty, so I was like, entrepreneurs, we typically deal with a lot of uncertainty. That's usually, the strength of an entrepreneur is the ability to do that and to know that we're going to win 51% of the time. And so we win. And when I was sitting there in the hospital bed and I didn't have, not only money to pay for myself, but my company, I owned a bunch of properties. Those were going to go down the tubes and, people I cared about in my life, it was really a very, very scary moment. And I didn't know really what I was going to do since I'm left-handed. So that's my main arm. And I'd always had the dream of playing basketball again. And they said, yeah, you wouldn't be able to throw a ball. You wouldn't be able to shoot a basket. You wouldn't be able to, basically do anything, hold yourself up having sex. I mean, you're done. You're not going to be able to use that dominant arm. And so let me tell you, my energy was all over the place when I heard that. I was like, what am I going to do? 28 years old, 29 years old, not even 30 yet. And you're telling me I can't even use my arm. So yeah, I was definitely in a, precarious position.
So this was a near fatal car accident, right?
Yes.
And what happened? I mean, did you have that surgery that you were talking about or how did it all turn out? Have you got full use of your arm back?
Yeah, I broke out of my hospital. So the hospital I was in, they weren't taking care of me. I had glass everywhere. It was like this hospital outside of Charlotte and it was a student hospital, a lot of students in there. I was hearing different things. And so long story short, I had a buddy of mine that used to be an ex NFL player, literally drive down and take me out of this hospital. And I was like, I got to get out of here. They're saying that, I might lose my arm. They won't do surgery on me. This doesn't work. And so, he put me into this other hospital. We went to 7 different surgeons and basically pitched them my story, please try to save this thing. And it was in so many pieces, my humerus. So from my elbow to my shoulder was in so many pieces. They didn't want to hit the nerve and get sued. And so every one of them opted out. They let it heal back, basically let it heal, but you won't be able to use it. And I found one guy, my knight in shining armor in Charleston, that was known for putting Humpty Dumpty back together again. He was like the guy that he could do it. He loved it. He was like the house and he did it. He decided to do it. And it was a 6.5 hour surgery. And the first time they had done this, they took titanium all the way from my elbow, all the way up to my humerus head and put complete titanium in there. And it was a success. It was an absolutely groundbreaking success. And I don't have full range of my arm, but you probably couldn't tell by looking at me, by the way I move and the way I look. And, I definitely have feeling there. And I hit a tree skiing a few years ago, just going very, very fast. And I cranked it on the arm and the titanium didn't do anything. So I think I have an advantage at the end of the day. Gunfights. I mean, somewhat of a superhero, this titanium. It doesn't break or bend. So definitely an upgrade.
Well, I could see some advantages of that.
Oh, yeah.
Testimony to not giving up, man. How many, all the surgeons you had to go through to find one who finally said he would do it.
Oh, yeah. It was tough. It was very, very tough. While my real estate companies are basically falling apart and sellers and buyers are like, what's going on? Where are you? Blah, blah, blah. So that whole stress zone, of course.
Holy smokes. So who was it who turned you on to the info about the app business?
Yeah, one of my best friends, Tate McCare Dennis, he had known him for a very long time. And, he came in and basically I am not a technical person at all. I mean, I don't even use a computer. I haven't in a very long time. And so he came to me and he said, look, there's this new app thing. These are two guys that made a bunch of money on apps, and it was the iFart app, which was a ridiculous app. And they made so much money. And he's like, you can totally do this, And so when you don't really have any options and someone throws you a bone, it's like, okay, you start getting creative when you're on morphine and endorphins trying to figure out your life.
So that's the secret.
That's the secret. That's the formula for success. Yep.
There we go. You heard it here first. Morphine is the secret to success.
And titanium.
And titanium. Yeah, exactly.
So you weren't a tech. That's funny because when I first, started reading up on you, I just assumed you were a tech guy and that's how you found your way into this business, but you weren't.
No, not at all. And I'm still not. So the advantage, why it's such a blessed experience for me is because, I didn't really have much of a choice but to lay in this bed. And even when I got out of the hospital for months, I was in a lazy boy chair because I couldn't lay down. And so my advantage was that I was looking at the App Store every single day and looking at the marketplace and just understanding the apps and understanding how they worked and understanding why they worked. And I don't know if I would have done that, honestly, if I wasn't in that position, spent the hours in understanding how important, market research actually is. And that's what got me going that's why I've been able to come up with, winning app ideas. I've done probably 280 apps at this point, 130, 40, 50 million downloads outside of emoji. So it's because of that ability to sit there and understand what's going on. And it's true in any business, really. Like any business we look at, that's the ability. Who's the market? What are they doing? How do I meet the needs? And I've done that in real estate, but never on such a deep level. And that's been my advantage for the last 7-8 years.
Well, what was your first app? Was it a hit, right? Was your first app a hit?
My first app, was a fingerprint. So the only thing that survived my truck, which flipped 4 times in the interstate and got completely destroyed that day before I went to this basketball game, took my one day off. I had a friend of mine, she sent me a phone. And it was actually, I got an iPhone. So it was the first time I had an iPhone on that day. And sitting in the hospital, I looked and on my little desk was this iPhone. And I remember people trying to grab it and play with it. And I was thinking security. And so, I basically went into this whole zone where I wanted to protect my information. I wanted to protect my phone. And I started thinking of like fingerprint security stuff. And so that's sort of how it started. And I started looking at, okay, people care about security. What if I could make it look like it was real fingerprints? No one really knows. And I'll scan through all these things. And, Apple obviously thought it was a good idea since they put that in there a few years ago, but it ended up hitting. I mean, it was amazing. I didn't even know exactly what I was doing. I just kind of took the leap of faith. And I woke up, about 8 weeks later from starting the process and logged into the App Store and just started bawling because I started seeing that I was actually making money from countries that I didn't even know were countries. And that was my moment where I was like, okay, I hit something here and I haven't looked back.
Wow. So build the dream a little bit. Can somebody really come up with an app idea, find the techie people you need to make it happen and make enough money from that to actually live the, what you call the freedom lifestyle?
Yes. Yeah. 1,000%. So we've had, thousands of students take our stuff and we've made that we know of, in the 20s, maybe even 30s now, millionaires that we've made. And it's been everything from, seeing a single mother that doesn't have that much time to kids, 10, 15, 16. I'm coaching a kid now who's 17 and never done anything with business, just about to graduate, high school. This is last year. And he's making a couple $1,000s a month. And it's really about, it's not so much the technical aspect, since I still don't know, how to code or really how to communicate in some of the higher level tech language. But overall, if you can come up with an idea, which we all can, everybody has an idea. And if you can look at the marketplace, which by the way is updated live for you on your phone that you take around with you. And if you can see the patterns, which it's really not that hard to, because it tells you, hey, this app is making a lot of money or this app is being downloaded a lot. And all you have to do is ask questions why and go through it and start to use it. So and it's not that expensive. Some apps, can cost $500, $800. Some apps can cost millions of dollars, but I would never want to tell somebody to spend a lot of money getting started in any business, especially with apps, because just like anything, you have to learn. You have to understand what works. And most of my apps have cost, anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000. So that's usually my position. And then when I make money on it, I start to upgrade the apps. I'll spend a little bit more money, maybe adding more features or in-app purchase or something like that, but only after I see that I'm actually ROI positive.
So everything you need to research an app idea is on your iPhone or smartphone?
Everything. Yeah, everything is. It's you just hit the App Store. It's right at the bottom of your screen, and it pulls up the market, and you can see exactly the top charts of the top paid, the top free, and then you can see the top grossing. So you can actually look and see how much these apps are grossing, and it's easy to then start to come up with your own game plan, your own apps. And some of them, as you guys know, some of the most ridiculous apps that you can possibly imagine that are making money. Some of them are very useful. Some of them are just made for, numbing out and entertainment. And there's sort of everything at this point in the store.
I'm simultaneously excited about that opportunity, but also at the same time really discouraged because my first app idea has already been developed. I'd want to do the fart thing. Further proof that guys don't mentally mature past the age of 14.
That is true. Yeah, I can definitely say yes to that. Well, what I will tell you is I think there actually were some other ones that came out that are still making money. And that's sort of, I have to look at the market at this point. But the cool thing with apps is that, most people have it all wrong. They think that, you have one app in the store, it's their idea. If it's already there and making money, they think that, okay, well, somebody already has this product. But as we know in business and anything, that just tells us that there's a demand for that there's a market for it. People are actually consuming it. So I get super excited when I see an idea that I have in the store already. I get a lot more curious to see what's working, how they're doing it. It's usually less about being oversaturated, which seems to be people's fear. They're like, oh, there's too many ideas. I had this idea and there's 10 of them on the store. It's typically, that's less of the situation than actually seeing that there's a few apps in the store and learning from that and then building something that is cross-pollinated or just emulated a little bit better than the app that you're seeing. And you can just pick up all those little wisdom nuggets and say, okay, well, I can see, their title says this, and I can see I played it, and wow, the first 30 seconds, this is what I got out of it. So this is what I got to do for my app. And it's a lot easier doing that and emulating somebody else that's proven a track record than it is to create from scratch and try to reinvent the wheel.
That's interesting because that's what I've done and a bunch of info marketers have done with info products, or books. Like we find some books that there's a really hot demand for, but the book sucks. So, we take apart the book and say, well, these parts were good and these parts, or this is missing and these parts are really lacking. And then we create an info product that's a big time improvement on that. We already got proof of concept people buy the topic.
I like that.
You're saying it's the same with the apps too.
It is. Yeah, it's the exact same thing for sure.
So if the fart apps are huge and selling well, I could just do a variation on a theme, like combine snippets from old Elvis songs with different fart noises. So
there you go.
Oh, land is new. And, I'd have to get the rights to the Elvis songs, but I think it would fly.
It would fly. Yeah, it definitely would fly. That's exactly what you do, though, for sure. That's cross-pollinating right there.
I'm fascinated by this business model and fascinated with the fact that not only have you done it successfully, now you're teaching other people to do it successfully. And yes. By the way, I'm sure you're going to tell me about some 15-year-old kid who's a multimillionaire, and I'm just going to hate him.
Yeah, we all do. Actually, yeah, there's a guy that's 16 years old. Yeah, and he's an amazing kid. He's actually an incredible human in general, and so it's really hard to have any negative thoughts with this kid. But he just developed a small little third-person shooting game, and it's like a pixel, the Minecraft pixel stuff. It's an app like that, and he just again, looked at the market, saw that people like these little, shooting games, first person shooting games. And then he looked at pixels and he said, well, Minecraft, people like that. Why don't I put those together and market towards the demographic of these Minecraft demographic with first person shooter, and a very simple game. I mean, it did really well. Doesn't look very good, but yeah, that's the type of apps that, sometimes is people's first apps, just getting something into the store. It's only $100 to be a developer. So, you can sign up pretty quickly within a day, and then you can start making apps.
Yes, I know. You wanted to hear more of that, and we have more coming for you next week. It was just too much to fit in today's episode. So join us when we come back with the millionaire maker, Chad Mureta from the App Empire, when we start talking about some of the deeper stuff that motivates him in next week's show. We'll see you then. Thanks for listening, and remember, if you want to create rivers of revenue from your existing customers, then the next thing you need to do is go to DobermanDan.com. He's giving away a free copy of his $98 per month Doberman Dan letter just for listening to the show. Go to DobermanDan.com now and sign up for your free issue.
This is the podcastfactory.com.